Alright guys, we're back, and by request we're going to do some DCC decoder install. We're going to be using Digitrax Decoder, and we're going to put in this guy. It's just a Athearn Blue Box kit, SD40. It is not DCC ready, so it doesn't have any chips or harnesses, anything in there. We're going to do it from scratch, and today we're going to use this guy here. It's a Digitrax DH123D. There's what the decoder looks like, and there's what the harness looks like. Now if you got an engine that's got a light board, which is going to look something similar to this, it's going to be a different process than what we're looking at today. Actually, a lot of times it's going to be simpler because you can just get the decoder and just pop it in here and be ready to rock and roll. Or it's got this harness already built into the light board, and all you got to do is just basically plug in this decoder. But that's a whole different setup. Today we're going to do it from scratch. We're going to put our own harness in. If you wanted to do something with sound, like this guy here, if you notice, it's very, very similar to what I just showed you. It just has a speaker and the capacitor attached to it. It's going to be the same process that we're doing today. If you see my other video with the boxcar sound, actually you don't even have to hook up all the wires. This particular decoder does not have motor functions, so it's only going to give you the sound. If you want to use this one with the DCC, then you got to put both chips in, this one and the one that we're doing here. So all you're going to need is, of course, your engine, your chip. You're going to need a soldering gun and some solder, and you're going to need some extra wire. Digitrax uses their positive and negative as red and black, so if you got red and black wire, that's what you want to use. Nothing fancy. I think this is 22 gauge, something like that. And we'll go from there. So the first part is to take apart the engine. So I'm going to put this guy down. Most of you guys ought to be able to do this. We're just going to remove the coupler boxes on here. I'm going to grab my screwdriver. And a lot of these kits, that's what holds the shell on here. Alright, so once we get these guys out, there's nothing else holding the shell down this particular model. Now some of these, they have some attachments down here that you may have to squeeze right here to pull it out. This one's pretty much just going to lift out. We'll put this off somewhere safe where it's not going to get damaged. Now, some basic electrical principles of how this works is you have positive current coming in through this side of the rail, this rail here, and it comes up through the post, comes up through this rail, goes to the motor. The common or negative comes out and grounds with the frame. So the whole frame's grounded, and it exits through the other side of the truck to the other rail. That's basically all there is to it. The light bulb takes the positive contact from the positive side of the truck post, and it is also grounded through the frame, and again exits through the truck. When you do DCC, you have to isolate the motor because you cannot have the same ground through the frame as through the rest of the circuit. What you're going to need to have, and most of them have it, is isolated rubber motor mounts. Now some of these have screws, so you have to take the screws out and get these guys. Most of them come with them though. We'll take this, we'll just move it up a little bit, give ourselves some room. We're going to take this guy out. We don't need him anymore. And we are going to start to disassemble the worm gear housing. All you got to do, I'm going to turn this around so you can see the side without the light bulb. Take a real small screwdriver, and it's really easy to gouge this, so be real careful. Get in there and just twist just a little bit. Get it up in there. There you go. And remove the worm gear housing. This, if you didn't know, is a worm gear. It's seated with two of these little nuts here on the end, so try not to lose them, and try to keep everything in order so you know what goes where when you put it back. And as you can see, the truck just falls right out. We're going to do the same thing with the other side. Move this up just a little bit more, try to do without breaking it. Pull the worm gear and drive shaft off. You can try not to lose those nuts. We'll put this on the other side there so we know where it goes. And again, there's your truck. And I'm going to put this here so I know which way everything goes. Next part of this, we're going to remove the engine from the chassis. All you got to do is take this, and you got to poke a little bit, and usually when you do, you gouge them up a little bit, so try not to poke too hard. But just poke these through a little bit so it slides out a little easier. And all you got to do is just begin to kind of wiggle and twist this guy up. It may take a little bit of pressure and a little bit of force. You don't want to rip the mounts, otherwise you got to buy new ones. That's no good. Alright, so once you get this loosened up, this is just going to wiggle and pop out like this. And you can take these mounts and they just slide off. Remember I was saying that it comes in from the trucks, hits the positive side of the engine, common, negative, ground, goes out to the frame. It uses these little guys down here, and it hits the strip that's right in here, and that's where it exits the frame. So what we're going to have to do is basically break these guys off. And if you want to put some electrical tape over this so it doesn't accidentally make contact with the frame, you can. If you ever want to revert, you'll have to solder a wire from this side of the engine down to here again, which isn't a big deal. But now the engine, when it rests back in here again with its mounts, it'll be completely isolated from the frame. And there you have it. That is part one, which is the disassembly and prep for the DCC chip. We'll see you back on part two.